In today's webinar, we are going to be working primarily in PowerPoint 2013. However, I will be opening PowerPoint 2007 and 10 as questions are asked. The first question that we have of the day is that some of the animations in the templates do not display correctly, and how can we help with this issue? We're focusing on PowerPoint 2013, so what I'm going to do is start by opening PowerPoint 2013 and downloading a few animations from our website. I will be inserting one of each of these items so you'll be able to see how they all compare to each other. Alright, so I'm just going to download the stick figures that they're shaking each other's hands. Now you can see we have several different file types. We have GIFs, SWIFs, and QuickTime. GIFs, I will say, work best with a solid color background. And everything I'm going to be doing, I'm going to be saving into our webinar file here. That way we can just go in and grab it as we need to. The QuickTime, you can do clear or white, but like I said, the QuickTime files in PowerPoint 2013 handle them differently than what they did in 2007 or 10. So I'll show you what it looks like if you download the clear for the QuickTime file, and then what it looks like if you download the solid color as well. If you're going to be inserting an animation into PowerPoint, you start by going to Insert Picture. You then locate the file, and the GIF will appear in your picture folder. We'll just get these guys put in here. If you want to insert a QuickTime animation, you do so by going to Insert, and then you go down to Video, since QuickTime is considered a MOV format or a video format. So we go to Video from my PC. It's going to open up wherever you have all your videos stored at. And we're just going to navigate over to our PowerPoint files for our webinar. So we have one with the white background. You can see it says WHT as part of the file name. I'll insert that one first. And then I will be inserting the clear next. And notice now that we're inserting the clear, it's taking a while. There's actually a little bar at the bottom saying it's inserting, please wait. It's upgrading the media to optimize compatibility and playback. And then boom, our background is now black instead of being clear. So now that both of these are videos, you can see the video tools at the top. You go to playback and you tell it to loop until stopped if you want it to loop indefinitely, and then that you want it to start automatically if you want it to be playing at the beginning of the slide. At this point, we're treating them just like normal videos. So now for my slideshow, I'm just going to view it as an individual window. This will just keep it a little bit more manageable as far as my computer resources go. So we're playing it, and you can see how on the two videos that they're playing, but they're not as straightforward as the GIF animation. This is because Microsoft wrote how they would handle QuickTime files a little bit differently in 2013 versus 2010. In 2010, it relies completely on you having QuickTime downloaded. 2013 kind of takes that issue off the table, but there is a bit of trade-off for it. Mixing and matching templates is actually very straightforward, and it is very easy to do. To mix and match a template, all you do is go to New Slide, go down to the Reuse Slides button, and then it's going to open up a pane on the right-hand side. This pane is basically going to open up a normal Windows browser for you. So if you click on the Browse and go to the drop-down, you're going to have all of your various files available to you. So in my case, I'll grab a periodic table of elements. Let's say I was working on some high school project. It's going to open these slides on the right side. We click Keep Source Formatting, click it, and boom, it's inserted. It's keeping its original formatting that we already had, so we don't have to worry about it picking up the formatting of the project we're moving into. Now let's say I want to go in and find some other ideas. Obviously I have a million templates, so I'll just grab one of our other ones that we have here. Again, Keep Source Formatting, click through here, boom, 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 and we've inserted items from two completely different templates. And that's just the quickest and easiest way to show how to do that. Mike, regarding the file size that you're running into, the reason they're over 10 megabytes is because our templates include video backgrounds. If you're familiar with videos in any format, they're huge. There's no way to make really small videos. Even ours, we shrunk them down to 720p, which is a smaller format as opposed to our traditional 1080 that a lot of folks are used to. And it just ends up being a large file. If you put in more than one video background, you start seeing the videos add up in size. So here's our video that we just downloaded. That video by itself is 3.65 megabytes. So you're talking 3.65 megabytes just for the first video in that template. And if you're going to actually be adding a second video, as most of our templates have two videos in them, they have what is considered a video background in the back that takes up the bulk of the template, and then they have a border. You're looking at two videos that are going to run anywhere from 2 to 4 megabytes apiece. The future interface one, for example, is huge. It's something along the lines of like 7 megabytes by itself. How do you email? I email all of my content if I need to send it to anybody. I typically either use our work email, obviously, is because we have a huge server for being able to handle it. Otherwise, you'd be surprised at how much you can email through programs like Gmail. You can actually email pretty good size content, and Hotmail, you can email pretty good size content. So if you can do it with Gmail and Hotmail, you can also do it with any Outlook email address. If it's a limitation of your server, say that it's whatever at, we'll say Walmart.com, and they have a limitation on their server, you would have to use an external source for moving it over. And you're absolutely correct. There is a limit on the receiving end. So it depends on the environment that you're working in. If you want to move a file from one computer to another and you're going to be actually there, we usually recommend bringing it on a jump drive or a thumb drive of your own, or saving it to a shared location. For example, here at Presenter Media, we actually have, let's see if I can get it pulled up, we have a SkyDrive account that I use with our clients when they need to share content with me. As of this moment, I have yet to be able to actually max out the size of the SkyDrive. See if I can get it pulled up here. So my SkyDrive is empty. Dropbox will work as well. So if you put content up on a SkyDrive, you can then share that content with somebody else, and you're getting around that issue of you having to email it to them and then being able to actually receive it based on the file size limitations. Christine, let's go back and look at the animations in PowerPoint 2013. Something to keep in mind is if you're using an animated template in PowerPoint 2013, let me just make sure I can get this guy opened up here. It's just going to take me a minute to find a presentation that's going to have enough animation in it so I can actually kind of push it to its limit here. All right, the digital countdown is pretty intense as far as graphics go. So we're opening up the digital template here. And you can see it in the background. Again, I'm going to make it play as a single individual window just because it conserves our resources a little bit. So if you play the template, let's just wait until it can start going. You're seeing a little bit choppy on your end. Mine is coming through pretty clear. It's just dealing with that streaming issue. If it's ever not showing up like this, there's usually two things that you need to keep an eye out for. One is making sure that you have a current service pack on your PowerPoint. And Christine, since you're operating in 2013, there haven't been any service packs released for that yet, so I know you're off the hook as far as that goes. The second thing to keep in mind is that you have an updated version of Windows Media Player. The Windows Media Player you can get to by just going to your All Programs and starting to type in Windows Media Player. It'll pop right up. If you do not see the File, View, Play, Tools, and Help at the top here, hold down the Control button on your keyboard and press the letter M, and that will actually make the menu pop up for you. So that's a quick trick to remember. Again, that's Control M like menu. Go to the Help button, and then scroll down to where it says Check for Updates. And hopefully you should be getting a little pop-up here that says your computer is running the most recent version of Windows Media Player. So as long as you're running that, you are good to go as far as that. If those two items are up to date, you should not be having any issues when you're playing any of our templates, especially if you're running PowerPoint 2013. Now, if you're running 2013 but you have a Mac template because you're going to be, we'll say, presenting it on a Macintosh, you may need to keep in mind, like I said about the animations, how PowerPoint handles QuickTime animations differently. This includes the video backgrounds that are written for the Mac templates. Mike, you wanted to know if the animations will work in Excel or Word someday. I can tell you more than likely not, because Word and Excel are actually both considered print media. That means they're geared towards printing them off in the future, and obviously there's no physical way to print an animation and have it play on a printed document. So at this time we're not looking at any way to be able to make the animation play in Word or Excel. If you're looking for a way to be able to write something like an EPUB, I know there's Flash formatting that you can do that will allow you to have the animations play if you're looking at more of like an EPUB or a Nook book or Kindle book, something along those lines. Does it create any challenges if you use a Mac PowerPoint and send it to someone who's using a Windows-based computer such as MS PowerPoint? No, actually anymore there's what is called Flip for Mac, and we actually have this on our website. There's actually a download that you can get to from our website. Windows teamed up with a company that's called Flip for Mac. Flip for Mac allows you to download a PC version of a template and open it on your Mac. So if you're running PowerPoint 2011 on an Apple that has, we'll say, Snow Leopard or Lion or whatever OS X you're looking at, the animations are still going to play, the video backgrounds are still going to play normally, and this is a great workaround if you're going from Mac to PC or PC to Mac back and forth. This way you can keep the PC version of the template, which means it'll have a Windows Media video for the background, and it's going to keep playing on the PC that you're going to end up displaying it on. You can still be able to see all the animations on the Mac side, so you don't have to worry about renegotiating any kind of timing or other animation movements. I do recommend that if you're working on both PC and Mac, that you have the equivalent version of PowerPoint on them. So if you have a PC, you would want PowerPoint 2010 or 13. If you have a Mac, you would want 2011 for PowerPoint. If you have, we'll say, PowerPoint 2007 on your PC, you would want PowerPoint 2008 on the Mac. That way they're more likely to be able to be compatible with each other. Mary Lou, the issue that you're running into with Adobe Connect is that Adobe likes Flash. So anything that is built for animations, Adobe is not necessarily going to look at if it's embedded into a PowerPoint and it's not a Flash file. A workaround for this is our templates that we have. The video backgrounds that we have in them are actually available as videos by themselves. So in this case, we have the scientist working in the lab. He's just kind of working around with his little beaker and things like that. So the video in the background here won't play in your Adobe Connect. Instead of using that video background, try moving over to the video by itself instead of the full template and download it as an Adobe Flash video. See if Adobe Connect is more likely to work with that, or if it wants to have a Windows Media video separately. I do know that some programs such as SlideShare and BrainShark, they take a presentation and the way they make it so it can be played is, in the case of SlideShare, they convert it to a PDF with multiple pages. So basically you take a PowerPoint file and you turn it into a multiple page PDF file. If you're looking at someone like Brainshark, they actually convert each slide to a QuickTime video. So that's how you still have the animations in Brainshark as opposed to SlideShare, but the files end up being bigger and the people who are viewing it need to have a little bit different capabilities. So if Adobe Connect works anything like either of those, you're going to have issues with that, making sure your animation stays in it. I do know that I believe it's SharePoint, Microsoft SharePoint, if you're going to be sharing PowerPoint with other people who have Office, you can make sure that that's going to be animated by when you upload the template to SharePoint, have them download the full template, not just try to play it off of the SharePoint server. Apparently when you try to play it off of the SharePoint server, it becomes a buffering issue, so you end up losing data when you're dealing with the buffering. So if they download it, there's no buffering issue. Obviously it's downloaded to their hard drive or their local network, and they can just go straight with that, absolutely. So moving forward with what we're looking at today, and one of my favorite features of PowerPoint is called motion paths. And if anyone has an interruption and they have any questions while I'm going through motion paths, let me know and I will get it addressed and turned back around for you. We're working in PowerPoint 2013 with our Puzzle Piece Toolkit. The reason for this is this toolkit is hugely popular. Like, there are no words for how popular this toolkit is. Because you can go through this toolkit and you can create a puzzle for yourself, which is great. I mean, there are so many different metaphors and analogies that you can work for with puzzles. And even though they may appear to be pretty straightforward, there's a lot of little things that you do need to keep in mind when you're working with the puzzles like this. So we're just going to go ahead and delete the bulk of the puzzles, and we're just going to be working with one of our small ones. This is going to enable us to actually work on a smaller scale, so it's a little bit faster for me to show you how you guys can use this. Now I am going to go full screen with this, and I'm going to zoom out quite a bit, so if it gets too small for you guys to see, let me know. This is just because when I start adding these motion path layers, it gets to be a little bit crazy looking. So let's say we have this whole puzzle and we want it to look like it's blown out and it comes into place. I'm going to go ahead and just delete the title altogether, and I'm just going to move all these puzzle pieces out of the way. And I'm just breaking this down into 4 groups. Obviously you can do this in much smaller groups if you choose to. You can even do it by individual pieces. So what I'm going to do is apply a motion path to each group of puzzle pieces. So I'm going to go to the Animations pane, and I'm going to go to Add Animation. Scroll all the way down to where it says Motion Path, and it's not going to show us what it's doing right away because our motion path is set off the screen. Yes, Mike, you can add text inside of the puzzle pieces. You can actually do it a couple different ways. Some of the puzzle pieces are going to be rotated, so if you start typing, like in the case of this puzzle piece, I'll just go ahead and scroll in so you can see it. I have text on it, but you can't see it because the piece is rotated. But if I enter down a little bit, you can see it there. And you can rotate the text within the puzzle by going to the Format Text Effects. It's going to open up that text pane on the right, and that's where you're going to go through with your text options, and you can change the alignment and you can change how it's actually rotated through this particular piece. So yes, you can absolutely type on these. Another fun thing is you can apply a 3D effect to them, which in this particular case would not be appropriate since there's going to be a ton going on anyways. But if we take all of these motion paths, you can see, I'll just go ahead and move it over. You can see how we actually have the ghost image of where the puzzle piece will end up. And you can actually do that with multiple puzzle pieces. So if I select both of these guys and I'm looking at their motion paths, I can actually see how they're lining up to each other. I can then move one piece into the other so I can make sure that these guys are actually going to line up. So now if I play this one particular slide, go to the preview on it, you'll actually see those two puzzle pieces moving into place together. Obviously, this is just a small scale of this idea, so you can see how it would all work. If you go to your animation pane and you give any kind of delay to one of the other pieces, it gives it a great effect, so it actually looks like it's coming in completely separate from the other one. And you can see how this would go larger and larger scale. Next up, I'm going to go ahead and just get backed out of this puzzle that I just got done destroying, and I'm going to show you how to create your own 3D puzzle. So let's say we have this 4x4 puzzle and we want it to become 3D. Again, I'm going to be deleting the title since I don't really need it. So these objects are all individual objects. You can see as we click on them, click and move them out of place, things like that. To give it a 3D effect, I will forewarn you that if you try to do it with everything selected individually like this, you will end up having a massive failure as far as what the puzzle pieces end up looking like, unless you want them to look like a mobile. So if you want them to actually look proper together, the first thing you need to do is group them. And once they're grouped, you can now apply that 3D effect, that exact same one I just showed you, except now it's going to look completely normal. The fun starts when you actually start looking at what you can do with the 3D effect. So I'm going to open up that Format Shape pane. Again, this is on the right. This is taking the place of PowerPoint 2007 and 2010's pop-up box that they normally have when you open up any kind of format window. So what we'll do is when we have the item selected, we have all of our effect options here as these three little icons. So you have your, what I would say, your dimensions icon where you can pick your size and your position, things like that. Then you have your advanced options, which are your shadow, reflection, your formatting, things like that. And then you have your basic fill and line colors. So if we decide to go through with this 3D formatting, you can tell how these pieces are not very thick looking as opposed to this puzzle that we have down here. You can see how much taller these puzzle pieces are. If you want to make these pieces taller, all you do is go into the 3D format and then you're going to apply what is called depth. Depth is how tall those puzzle piece bases are. So there's obviously a direct correlation to how big that number is and how tall the puzzle pieces end up looking. Now if you want to go a little bit different with it, you can change the color of the depth, but that's going to be changing the outline color of all those pieces. So do keep that in mind if you are ever looking at doing things like that. Your contour is something I usually recommend leaving alone, just because contour, it's where your edges meet up, so you can see how it ends up being this really strange dark outlined area. Now, once you have this done, you can still grab individual pieces in the older versions of PowerPoint and move them out by clicking and dragging. If you're using 2013, you do need to use your keyboard to move them out. So I clicked on the one little guy, and I'm using just my keyboard keys right and down again to be able to move them away from the rest of the puzzle. The 3D rotation that you're applying to this will apply to all of the pieces in it, and they will all work together. So if you do want to make it look like we have a stand, such as in slide number 3, you can do that as well. So that was just a quick showing you what you can do using motion paths in PowerPoint 2013. Is anyone not familiar enough with 2013 that they would like to see me do anything that they normally do in 2007 or 10 and show you how to do it in 2013? All of the abilities are the same. The only thing that is different is how you get there. So the user interface is a little bit different in 2013. If you want to add standing figures on top of this board, such as what we have here, these guys are just all clip art images. So you can just copy them and just paste them right onto that other page and just drop them right on top. It's a pretty straightforward way for them to get put on. Now, if you do have our add-in, I'll get this guy signed in. You can go through and you can search our image library. We do have our PEG guys on there now, and they didn't used to be We didn't used to have this particular style all by themselves, but now we do, so that's really nice to be able to have. Let's see if it's able to get to the web. I don't know if my computer can access the web and PowerPoint and everything else. Here we go. So if you wanted to add, we'll say, this doctor image, you can just click the quick insert. We'll resize her, and we can move her back to one of the other puzzle pieces like that. So once you start playing around with stuff like this, you can really get different scales going and things like that to be able to make this your own. If you're not familiar with our add-in, you can download it for free as long as you're a subscriber to our website. You can just go to the main page, www.presentermedia.com, and the add-in link is located on the left-hand side, about 2/3 of the way down. It says Introducing the Presenter Media add-in. Click on that. It'll take you to a download link, and you'll be able to download and insert the item directly into your PowerPoint presentation. Mike, we do have flowchart graphics. We actually have flowchart toolkits. If you're not familiar with our website, we have our flowchart toolkit and our doodles toolkit. Both of these would work really well for you. So here's all of our flowchart items that we have. The flowchart items are going to be basic shapes that you can change to have them color however you need them to. And then once you have customized, again, you can click the customize, and everything you create on our website is actually going to get stored in your My Custom Media, so you can always go back and download that again at a later date if you ever need to. Thank you so much, Pat, for making it, and I hope to see you at our next webinar, which will be held in August. All right, everybody, that pretty much wraps it up for us. Mike, if you have any other questions for me, you can go ahead and email us at our support@presentermedia.com, and I would be happy to give you any of the links to the items that we have posted up here earlier today. We'll get those all taken care of for you. And if anyone else has any questions, like I said, feel free to give us a call or shoot us an email. Thank you guys and have a great day.